Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. God's blessings upon you. Let's praise the Lord together, my friends. We have all awakened in God's shelter. Now we've come to praise His name together. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
my
morning,
friends.
my friends.
Sing Hosanna.
Hosanna.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Allahu Akbar, Ya Baha'u'llah. In the sanctuary of our Lord's protection and the stronghold of our Lord's defense. With His love our spirits are illumined as we glorify His name. Our hearts are blessed. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, my friend.
My friend.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning,
my friend. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? We hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday morning.
Good morning, friends.
Yes, good morning, Vicky and Hushang and Andy. And we see Artisher. And Artisher, you have a friend there. Who is this person? Well, you're muted, but maybe you can put it in chat. But
Can't hear you.
we can't hear you. You're muted. But good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Yes, and happy Father's Day to everyone. And good morning, Jeremiah. We said it already, but let's say it again. Good morning, Jeremiah. And hello to everyone out there on Facebook. Now, before we get started, Daryl, I got to ask you, did there seem to be a change in the balance to you?
No. No, I didn't. If there was, I didn't notice it.
I felt like we should have had the music up just a tiny bit louder. Not to the Zoom people, just in here.
Yeah, I'm good.
We did a major sound check, and it sounds a little different from. Anyway, how you doing, Andy?
Fine. How about you?
I'm good, thanks. How do you?
To answer your question on this end, the music could come up just very slightly more, but still, it's still better than it was last couple of times.
Good.
You didn't have to make that reference there, Andy. Let's just live in the moment, okay?
Well, no. What we're talking about is continuous improvement, and that's
That's
one of the major teachings of the faith.
Well,
right.
thank you again, and I do agree. I think it needs to just come up just a tad, but I'm going to turn up the drum machine just a tiny bit, and I think I've already got my guitar. Let's see. I'm going to leave that.
Be careful with that drum machine. You give it an inch, it'll take a mile.
Yeah. No
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly. I'm going to.
Okay.
That sound about right to me. How'd that sound to
Okay.
you?
All right.
Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we probably should have prayed first, but
Well, now's a good time for a prayer.
yes, now's a good time for it.
A prayer of repentance.
Yeah.
All praise, O my God, be to thee who art the source of all glory and majesty, of greatness and honor, of sovereignty and dominion, of loftiness and grace, of awe and power. Whomsoever thou willest, thou causest to draw nigh unto the most great ocean, and on whomsoever thou desirest, thou conferrest the honor of recognizing thy most ancient name. Of all who are in heaven and on earth, none can withstand the operation of thy sovereign will. From all eternity, thou didst rule the entire creation, and thou wilt continue forevermore to exercise thy dominion over all created things. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-wise. Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee, and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn unto the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself, and the dayspring of thine essence. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subduing. And this is a prayer by Baha'u'llah. Now, as you know, if you've been with us for the past few weeks, we have been studying the book Towards Oneness, compilation of passages from the Baha'i writings regarding issues of race and culture.
Yes.
Yes. And there are some real eye-openers on what the writings of Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha and Shoghi Effendi and the Universal House of Justice, the guidance they give in regarding to healing the racial divide and preventing greater problems in regards to race and culture. And I got to tell you, there have been so many things here that just, again, probably getting a little too personal, that make me just feel like I'm in the right place. I'm reading the right
Sure.
material.
Sure.
It is truly spiritually uplifting. And so with that being said, well, maybe a little context. Last week we started on chapter 3. We forgot to say that. We are on chapter 3. The significance and effect of prejudice. And at least we have the same book, but different editions. So the page numbers sometimes are a little bit different. I think we're starting on I have on page 18.
I'm on page 21.
What? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong page 21.
Yeah. What impact do the various types of prejudice have on humanity?
Wow. You know, we were, as we go further, I guess the page numbers kind of,
Sure.
okay, because,
Shift.
yeah, because his font is smaller. That's why he's getting further ahead. But yeah, you're right. Okay, what impact do the various, okay. So Daryl, if you'd be so kind.
Again, I'll repeat the question, but I'll precede it with the last sentence from the previous paragraph. It says, love for each other. The deep sense that we are a new organism, the dawn breakers of a new world order, must constantly animate our Baha'i lives, and we must pray to be protected from the contamination of a society which is so diseased with prejudice. So diseased with prejudice. So you have to ask the next question should be, a natural follow on. What impact do the various types of prejudice have on humanity? It doesn't say what impact does the various types of prejudice have on Michael or George. This is humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Baha'u'llah tells us that prejudice in its various forms destroys the edifice of humanity, destroys the edifice of humanity. We are adjured by the divine messenger to eliminate all forms of prejudice from our lives. Our outer lives must show forth our beliefs. The world must see that regardless of each passing whim or current fashion of the generality of mankind, the Baha'i lives his life according to the tenets of the faith. Our outer lives must show forth our beliefs. The world must see that regardless of the passing whim or current fashion of the generality of mankind, the Baha'i lives his life according to the tenets of his faith. We must not allow the fear of rejection by our friends and neighbors to deter us from our goal, to live the Baha'i life. Let us strive to blot out from our lives every trace of prejudice, racial, religious, political, economic, national, tribal, class, cultural, and that which is based on differences of education or age. That's a pretty long list.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to repeat it. Let us strive to blot out from our lives every last trace of prejudice, racial prejudice, religious prejudice, political, economic, national, tribal, class, cultural, and that which is based on differences of education or age. We shall be distinguished from our non-Baha'i associates if our lives are adorned with this principle.
Now, before you continue, I'd like to point out that second sentence in this paragraph. We are adjured by the divine messenger to eliminate all forms of prejudice from our lives. We are adjured by the divine messenger. Let's face it, eliminating prejudice from your life, it's a good idea. And I would bet that there are, well, let's face it, we don't have to bet. We could say there definitely have been people throughout history who in some way, or at least in a recent history, who have some way have verbalized this, have expressed this. But this says we are adjured by the divine messenger.
Of course.
This is, let's just say it's a commandment.
Right.
I mean, if we want to use that term, eliminate all forms of prejudice from our lives. And I don't know about you, man, but it's hard.
It can be, of course.
Yeah, because you think one day I've got the race thing down, I've got that covered, and then politics jumps up, or something else, class jumps up. It is an ongoing, especially in a society that seems to thrive on conflict. And I will admit that it is a constant struggle.
Absolutely.
But it is a struggle we have to be willing to be a part of. And when I say constant struggle, I'm talking personal struggle.
Sure.
Yeah. So it is something that it's not just a good idea. It's something that we are told by the messenger of God that we must incorporate in our lives. And that was just the first paragraph. I'm going to try not to say much because you continue. I want to say good morning to Adam and Matthew and Gilbert. They came in after we started.
How significant is the issue of racial prejudice? As to racial prejudice, the corrosion of which for well nigh a century has bitten into the fiber and attacked the whole social structure of American society, it should be regarded as constituting the most vital and challenging issue confronting the Baha'i community at the present stage of its evolution. The ceaseless exertions which this issue of paramount importance calls for, the sacrifices it must impose, the care and vigilance it demands, the moral courage and fortitude it requires, the tact and sympathy it necessitates, invest this problem, which the American believers are still far from having satisfactorily resolved, with an urgency and importance that cannot be overestimated. That's a lot.
Yeah, it
In
is.
such a short paragraph. Okay?
But it points out, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your
The
thought.
tact and sympathy it necessitates invest this problem, which the American believers are still far from having satisfactorily resolved, with an urgency and importance that cannot be overestimated.
Tact and sympathy, honesty, but I think gentle honesty, being honest, being truthful. And I'll admit that's a struggle too, but also sympathy. And it doesn't say that one side has to be sympathetic towards the other without the other having to reciprocate. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And as this is from Shoghi Effendi, should be regarded as constituting the most vital and challenging issue confronting the Baha'i community at the present stage of its evolution.
And that was written in 1938.
In
but
1938.
But the issue still exists today, in maybe not the same form it existed back then, but it still exists today.
Yeah.
In its insidiousness, and
Yeah.
and maybe a different form. Have we made progress? To some extent, yes. Have we lost some ground? Yes. Again, yes. So it still exists. Okay, and I think it's something that we need to be ever mindful of as we deal with the people that we come in contact with every day.
Yeah.
Not just in our families, but in our society, in our neighborhoods, in our business dealings. It's something we need to always be cognizant of. So racism is one of the most baneful.
Hold it. What'd you say?
Racism.
I just want to know that, I mean, even that word, some people are, I kind of feel like sometimes when you just say that word in, company and you can almost feel people tensing up.
Sure.
And here it is, right here in the writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Racism, one of the most baneful and persistent evils, is a major barrier to peace. Its practice perpetuates too outrageous a violation of the dignity of human beings to be countenanced under any pretext. Racism retards the unfoldment of the boundless potentialities of its victims, corrupts its perpetrators, and blights human progress. Recognition of the oneness of mankind implemented by appropriate legal measures must be universally upheld if this problem is to be overcome. So this is saying there must be appropriate legal measures must be universally upheld if this problem is to be overcome.
Yes.
Legal.
Yeah. And it also points out that, the effects of racism. It kills the potential of its victims, or at least it says it retards it, but yeah.
That's right.
It corrupts the perpetrators of racism, and in general blights human progress. So while, as an individual, if you may think that your own personal prejudice, your own personal racism, it's just, it might hurt the person or the individual or people that you are, showing it to, or, the way you're viewing them. But no, this is having a negative effect on humanity in general, on the progress of humanity in general. blights human progress.
Yes. Abdul Baha said, if the races do not come to an agreement, there can be no question or doubt of bloodshed.
Mm.
When I was in America, I told the white and colored people that it was incumbent upon them to be united, or else there would be the shedding of blood. I did not say more than this, that they might not be saddened. But indeed, there is greater danger than only the shedding of blood. It is the destruction of America. The destruction of America. Because aside from the racial prejudice, there is another agitating factor. It is that of America's enemies. These enemies are agitating both sides. That is, they are stirring up the white race against the colored race and the colored race against the white race. But of this, the Americans are submerged in the sea of ignorance.
Wow.
They will regret it. They will regret it. But of what use will their regret be after the destruction of America? Will it be of any use then?
I have to say something before you continue.
Whoa.
As it points out, it is the destruction of America. Because aside from the racial prejudice, there's another agitating factor. It is that of America's enemies. These enemies are agitating both sides. That is, they are stirring up the white race against the colored race and the colored race against the white race. And now we'll put in parenthetically, and now they have the internet.
Absolutely.
They have a powerful tool, which is being used towards that end.
Right. But it also points out the fact that we are ignorant of
Yeah.
all of that, and we are ignorant of the fact that this problem is agitated by our country's enemies.
Thank you.
We are ignorant of that. We
Yeah.
don't understand it. We don't see it, and so we don't understand that it's not even coming just from the internal state. It's coming from external.
Absolutely. And he points out, they will regret it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is in writing, and I don't know what Abdul Baha sounded like. I think there's a brief video clip in which he actually is speaking.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if he were actually saying this vocally, what his vocal intonation would be.
Yeah,
They would like one of foreboding, of warning. They will regret it.
Yeah.
But of what use will their regret be after the destruction of America?
Yeah.
Will it be of any use then?
I told him of a letter I had received from Chicago during the week, stating that 2 houses belonging to colored Baha'is had been bombed with dynamite. Abdul Baha said, I foretell things before they happen, and I write about them before they occur. The destruction of 2 or 3 houses is of no importance, but the importance lies in what is coming, which is the destruction of America. The Arabs, many proverbs, for instance, the Arabs have many proverbs. For instance, heavy rains begin with drops before it pours. And the dancer starts with shaking the shoulder, then the whole body. Now is the time for Americans to take up this matter and unite both white and the colored races. Otherwise, hasten ye towards destruction. Otherwise, hasten ye towards destruction. Hasten ye toward devastation.
You've been warned.
That's quite a warning. That's quite an admonishment.
You're putting your book down a little early today, aren't you?
Maybe.
O children of men, know ye not why we have created you all from the same dust, that no one should exalt himself, never exalt himself over another, because the earth is but one country.
One country.
The earth is
Is
but a one country.
one country.
The earth
The
is but a one country,
one country.
and mankind is its citizens. Ponder at all times in your hearts how you were created. Be even as one soul, walk with the same feet, eat with the same mouth, dwell in the same land, because the earth is but a one country.
One country.
You know the earth is but a one country.
One country.
The earth
The
is but a one country,
one country.
and mankind is its citizens. The earth is one country. The earth is one country. Baha'u'llah said, the earth is one country. Don't you know the earth is but a one country? You know the earth is but a one country. You know the earth is but a one country, and mankind is its citizens. That from your inmost being, by your deeds and your actions, the signs of oneness, the signs of oneness, and the essence of detachment may be made manifest. Oh, you know the earth is but a one country.
One country.
I said the earth is but a one country. Baha'u'llah said the earth is but a one country,
One country.
and mankind, oh mankind, oh mankind is its citizen. I still want it louder. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
just do. To continue.
All right. So after we have to ask, who must address issues of prejudice? Freedom from racial prejudice in any of its forms should, at such a time as this, when an increasingly large section of the human race is falling a victim to its devastating ferocity, be adopted as the watchword of the entire body of the American believers in whichever state they reside, whatever circles they move, whatever their age, traditions, tastes, and habits. It should be consistently demonstrated in every phase of their activity and life, whether in the Baha'i community or outside it, in public or in private, formally as well as informally, individually as well as in their official capacity as organized groups, committees, and assemblies. It should be deliberately cultivated through the various and everyday opportunities, no matter how insignificant, that present themselves, whether in their homes, their business offices, their schools and colleges, their social parties and recreation grounds, their Baha'i meetings, conferences, conventions, summer schools, and assemblies.
I absolutely love that. I love the fact that he points out that it should be deliberately cultivated.
Yes,
It should be deliberately cultivated. You don't just wait or assume that this is going to happen.
absolutely.
You have to work at it in a very deliberate way. I mean,
Whenever and wherever you are.
exactly. You know, I mean, you think about it, that first sentence, I'm going to leave some of it out, but freedom from racial prejudice should be adopted as the watchword of the entire body of the American believers in whichever state they reside, etc. I mean, it's at the top of the list of what we need to be concerned about.
Absolutely. So a tremendous effort is required by both races, white and black, if their outlook, their manners, and conduct are to reflect in this darkened age the spirit and teachings of the faith of Baha'u'llah. Casting away once and for all the fallacious doctrine of racial superiority with all its attendant evils, confusion, and miseries, and welcoming and encouraging the intermixture of races and tearing down the barriers that divide them, they should endeavor day and night to fulfill their particular responsibilities in the common task which so urgently faces them. Complete freedom from prejudice should be the immediate, the universal, and the chief concern of all and sundry members of the Baha'i community, of whatever age, rank, experience, class, or color, as all, with no exception, must face its challenging implications, and none can claim, however much he may have progressed along this line, to have completely discharged the stern responsibilities which it inculcates.
Wow. In other words, you have never arrived. You got to keep working on it. None can claim to have completely discharged the stern responsibilities which it inculcates. Complete freedom from prejudice should be the immediate, the universal, and the chief concern of everyone. There is no exemption. You're not exempt from, based on your age, your rank, your experience, nothing. Nothing exempts you from working on this issue within ourselves and within society.
Okay. White and Negro, high and low, young and old, whether newly converted to the faith or not, all who stand identified with it must participate in and lend their assistance, each according to his or her capacity, experience, and opportunities to the common task of fulfilling the instructions, realizing the hopes, and following the example of Abdul Baha. Whether colored or non-colored, neither race has the right or can conscientiously claim to be regarded as absolved from such an obligation, as having realized such hopes or having faithfully followed such an example. A long and thorny road beset with pitfalls still remains untraveled, both by the white and Negro exponents of the redeeming faith of Baha'u'llah.
Wow. A long and thorny road still remains untraveled of the redeeming faith of Baha'u'llah, both by the white and the Negro exponents. I mean, again, this continues to tell us that no one is exempt, no one is absolved of the responsibility of working on this
Not at all.
issue. Yeah, and it's so easy to point fingers too,
Always.
but it's like that old saying.
That's
I know
the
you-
easiest thing to do.
Yeah. They have to work on this. No, we all have to work on this. And you know that old saying, when you're pointing a finger at somebody, you got what?
3 pointed back at you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never really remember the number because I'm thinking
It's true.
the thumb isn't pointed back at me. That's kind of, anyway, that's a whole other issue. Okay.
All right. So,
You're looking at me for what reason, Daryl?
well, because I'm thinking this is a
A good place to stop?
fairly good place to stop.
Okay. And next week, there are some questions here. We're continuing chapter. This is what did we say? This is chapter 3?
Chapter 3, yes.
And some of the questions we're going to be looking at next week are, since race prejudice is so sensitive to address, do we have to consider it in everything we do? And another question is, how significant is the black-white aspect of racial prejudice? Do we need to focus on that more than with other groups? So we're going to be looking at those questions next week. And I don't know that we'll have time next week, but chapter 4 covers how to address issues of prejudice. And this brings to mind, once again, for me, a lot of times I think of a lot of the precepts of the Baha'i faith, and if you are not aware of the fact that they are part and parcel of the Baha'i faith, it's easy to kind of think of them as just, so standards that we need to be working towards in society and so forth, aside from spirituality. But no, this is part of spirituality.
That's right.
This is part of spirituality. And so this is one reason that, for followers of Baha'u'llah, for the friends who believe that the Baha'i faith is the revelation of God for this day, this is what it's telling us. This is what it's telling us, that this is your biggest problem. You need to, if you're going to be working towards oneness, working towards unity, you got to work on this.
That's right.
I'm going to shut up. It is at this time that, as usual, we always like to take time and allow anyone who would like to share a song or a prayer or a reading of your choosing. This is that time. And of course, we always like to start with our Andy Murphy moment. I do want to say a special, Camby's is not joining us. He hasn't been with us for weeks, unfortunately. They've got some issues that they're dealing with. And I still want to say, I don't know if he looks at it later on through Facebook, but I want to say hello to Camby's and his wife, Farah, and happy Father's Day, Camby's. And we hope that you are,
Absolutely.
coming along and doing well. You're in our prayers. So Andy, do you have anything you'd like to share with us today?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, please.
Just a second. Were you able to hear that?
Only bits
No.
and pieces. You're breaking up. And
Okay, I know what to do.
Okay.
Take 2. is singing in the mountains, across the valley and the plains, and calling joyous in the islands. Let love and unity reign. Let love and unity reign. Let love and unity reign. The wind is singing in the mountains. Let love and unity reign. The crickets crying in the valleys can't see the brilliance of the dawn, can't hear the singing in the mountains. The promised one is come. The promised one is come. The promised one is come. The wind is singing in the mountains. Baha'u'llah has come.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that. Is there anyone else who would like to share a prayer or reading or song of your choosing? This is that time. Well then, let's go ahead and turn this around again and make the necessary adjustments. You know what? I also want to say, Geeti and her husband Farhad, who used to be able to join us on a regular basis, we unfortunately haven't been able to. They haven't been able to join us in a very long time, and I want to say Happy Father's Day to Farhad too. And hi, Geeti. I know this because they often watch after the fact. They'll watch it on Facebook and often share it. And I want to say especially thank you for doing that. But we miss you all, and hope that we can see you again real soon. And it's always important to know that I just drew a total blank. What is important to know, Daryl?
It's important to know that this program that we put on every week is not just from us. It's a collaborative effort from several communities. Tony and I are actually from different communities, and a lot of the people who join us are from different communities. But we do it under the auspices of the Clearwater Baha'i community and their website, thankfully. And we'd like for you to know that it's primarily about the Baha'i faith. And if you have any interest in the Baha'i faith or want to know that more about it, there are some definitive websites where you can go and get more information. And they are www.baha'i.us, www.baha'i.org, www.bahaiteachings.org. And if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay or Clearwater area, you can always go to the Clearwater Baha'i website at www.clearwaterbaha'is.org.
Yes. And I see that Pam is joining us on Facebook, and my cousin John, who his father and I were best friends growing up as well as cousins. He always joins us, and so I want to say hi to John. He is an artist. He always is. He often posts things of some of his art, as he does some beautiful stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. We also need to point out that if you want to get a copy of the book that we are studying, we need to point out that there are different ways to get it. You can get it on Amazon. It's a little pricier there, but you get it more quickly. I'll admit that. But you can also get it from Baha'i Publishing Trust. Am I correct? Yeah, you can get it from Baha'i Publishing Trust, and you can also get it from the Palabra, P-A-L-A-B-R-A, Palabra Publications. And I'm going to say it once again, even though I've said it before. I've already said this was not the book that I would have chosen. but it would be now that we're reading it. This is so timely. It is so timely.
It
And
is.
and thank you to Todd Ewing, who compiled these writings. They're all from
Yes.
the Baha'i writings, from Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha and Shoghi Effendi and the Universal House of Justice. But somebody had to compile them.
Yes.
And Mr. Ewing apparently took it upon himself to do so. And this is just, it's so timely. The writings in it, not from today, but for today.
Yes.
Not from today, but for today, because this is the age that we are living in. This is specifically designed or revealed. That's the word.
It's probably the single most challenging cultural issue that we have right now.
Yes, yes.
Right
And-
now, without a doubt.
Yeah, and for anyone who's
Without a doubt,
yeah.
people find all kinds of ways to separate us or to divide us, and this talks about the challenge of moving toward oneness,
Mhm.
because we are one race, one people, one country, one nation. We are, and for us not to recognize that says that we are failing in one of the major issues that the Blessed One has asked us to address.
Yes. So, all that being said, I mean, we have a little extra time today. This is one reason that I'm taking time to talk, not just to fill time, because usually we don't have time to say a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And one thing that we almost never have time to say. I mean, we always point out that if you're interested in knowing more about the Baha'i faith and so forth and so on, yes, you can go to those definitive websites. But I would dare say you might even have people associated with the Baha'i faith, members of the Baha'i faith, in your own communities. Okay? And if you don't, if you'd like to know more, one thing we always point out is that, we share this on Facebook as well. I just share it on my page. I mean, the Clearwater Baha'is also share it on their YouTube channel. Okay, but I also share it on my Facebook page. I'm only saying that to say if you would like to ask some questions of the faith, I'd be glad to field any questions if you want to just DM me, that kind of a thing. That's one of the beautiful things things about today's technology. Obviously there's a dark side to it, but there's also some wonderful ways that we can use it. And I have personally, have you ever met anyone who actually joined the faith online? Because I've met several people who have joined it, who had never met a Baha'i, but they started investigating the faith online,
Yes.
reading the writings, finding that it was everything they believed in.
Yes.
And it makes religion, when so many people are leaving religion, it makes religion today make sense. Yeah, it makes it make sense. And it connects all of the major faiths, and in the writings of the Baha'i faith, it points out that when we say that phrase manifestation of God, we are talking about messengers of God who have come throughout the ages of mankind to bring mankind forward spiritually. And so, we are evolving spiritually, but when we're talking about revelation is ongoing.
Always.
It is ongoing. And so in this day and time, it is the revelation of Baha'u'llah, and these writings that we are so commonly reading, so frequently reading, that's a part of this revelation. And just want to point that out. And
I'd like to say before we go, if you are loved, you are blessed. If you share that love, then everyone around you and everyone you know is blessed. So the one thing you can do, and the one thing I will ask you to do, is, because it's not going to cost you anything, is to share that love, always.
O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light, and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. Be world embracing. Ooh. Be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. Watch over yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surroundeth you. Let your vision be world-embracing, rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. Have a good week, folks.